welcome to the GrianaigCreations podcast channel. This is episode 91. My name is Kirsty and I am coming to you from Paisley in Scotland. My pronouns are they, them. I forgot that part. It is a really overcast and kind of on-off day here in Scotland. We have had a lot of on-off rain the last couple of days. Our summer has officially been and gone, in my opinion. Some people may not agree with me and they may not be happy with that statement, but I feel like we have had our summer here on the west of Scotland at least. So yeah, I'm back. It's been 6 weeks since my last proper podcast, and I will dive into that very briefly here at the start because it will explain why some of the projects haven't received a lot of love and why I don't have more finished objects or anything like that. So I started experiencing some loss of sensation in my left hand, specifically in my first finger. It started with the tip of my finger going numb, and I also started getting a very weird sensation running up the very center top of my, like this part of my arm, my forearm. And that went away, like that lasted about 3 weeks, and then it went away again. And in that time I had phoned my general practitioner, my GP, and I'd let him know what was going on. He was just like, right, what, is there anything else? Do you have tingling? I was just like, I have pins and needles in my first 3 fingers, including my thumb. So my thumb, my first finger, and my middle finger. And he was just like, okay, sounds like your carpal tunnel is really playing up. Let's get you in for another nerve conduction study. And that was it. I got put on the waiting list. Fast forward again till, I think it was like the 5th of June, and I woke up to that strange sensation in my arm, and that was fine, and then my finger was also numb again. The Monday, however, things had got progressively worse. I was in absolute agony, like I was in pain from here all the way up to about halfway up my upper arm and into my neck, and I was experiencing pain in my underarm. All of that to say, I had an MRI and a nerve conduction study done very quickly because of the amount of pain that I was in. Like, no painkiller I was taking was even remotely taking the pain away. And it turns out I have a prolapsed disc in my neck. Not what I was expecting to hear. So I am recovering slowly, thank God. The pain has significantly decreased. It's now just like a dull discomfort, and I am slowly but surely regaining feeling in my finger. This can take up to about 3 months to heal, so it's going to be a long recovery process. It could come back at any point. I'm really hoping it won't, so I have to be very careful, and I've been doing a lot of resting. I'm not allowed to do like any sharp sudden movements, so if someone's like, oh look at that, I'm not allowed to like snap my neck around and have a look at what's going on. So it's a case of just being very slow and resting and just taking it easy. So that's what's been going on. I appreciate everyone's patience as to where I've been recently, and I hope that this is the beginning of me really quite near the end of my recovery process and getting back on track, back to normal. With all that said, I have some knitting, I have cross stitch, and I have spinning. I do not have any crochet this week at all. I haven't done any crochet since I last recorded an actual podcast, and I'm also recording during Tour de Fleece. So I did get a video up, I think it was on Tuesday of last week. So I did get a Tour de Fleece video up on Tuesday, and I am recording my process of going through Tour de Fleece this year. So there will be more videos to come on Tour de Fleece, but I'm going to show off some of my spinning in this video. So if that's not for you, I am going to try and put some timestamps in and like section it out on the video, because I know you can't do that on YouTube. So if those aren't for you, you will be able to skip to the certain areas that might take your interest. But I hope you will enjoy and that you'll stick around for the full video. But let's get started with some knitting. I only have one finished knitting project this month, this last 6 weeks, and that is the socks that I was making for my mum. I was making these with scrap yarn. I had roughly 50 grams of this rainbow coloured yarn kicking around, and I thought that they would be really great for my mum. And the rainbow yarn isn't a yarn that we can get very easily here in the UK, because I think it is a German yarn, and the brand is Woolbutt. I've talked about them several times on this podcast already. If you will remember, I got several balls of it many years ago now in Liverpool in a yarn shop that is now closed. Like they don't even have an online presence anymore, which is a shame. And I absolutely love this sock yarn brand. I think it's really great. It's really sturdy. I certainly haven't had any holes or anything like that appearing in any of my socks I've made in this yarn. So I was just using up leftovers and decided that it probably wasn't enough yarn for myself, but it would be really good for my mum. And she really appreciates hand knit socks. She doesn't wear them in summer, but she definitely wears them in winter. So she's definitely a very good recipient of hand knitted socks. The grey yarn is, if I'm remembering correctly, Drops Fable. And I do like a good Drops Fable for heels, toes and cuffs. I think it is a excellent sturdy yarn. It's also a very good price point as well. So if you're looking for a sock yarn that will not break the bank, I do highly recommend Drops Fable, but it does only come in 50 gram balls, so that is something to bear in mind. So what I've done for these socks is I have used a rounded toe, which is the first time I've used the pattern, and I do think it's very good. I would need to knit socks for myself to see how it feels, however, but I will put the link to this rounded toe in the description box below in case you're curious and you want to give it a try yourself. So my stitch count for this is 68 stitches on a 2.25mm needle, and I have a cardboard cutout of my mum's foot, so I put in the Fish Lips Kiss heel. So this should fit my mum bang on, like, oh, I've got fluff on my nose. Like, these should be the best fitting socks I've ever made my mum, and I'm hoping that she quite likes the Fish Lips Kiss heel. It's not for everybody, that's the thing. I can wear the Fish Lips Kiss heel socks, but I prefer a heel flap and gusset. That's personal choice. Everybody is different. Everyone prefers different heels. Some people prefer like a German short row heel with like some sort of extension slash fake heel flap. Some people prefer a heel flap and gusset. Like, everyone has different preferences. So normally if I'm knitting socks for somebody else, I would try to put in a heel flap and gusset, just because I feel it's more forgiving when you're knitting for other people, especially if you've not quite got the size correct. Whereas I think with the Fish Lips Kiss heel, you really need to have as good a fit as possible. But again, this is all my opinion. If you don't agree, that is okay. We can have a difference of opinions. So now that I am recording, I can officially give these to my mum after I weave in the ends. In typical me fashion, I have not woven in the ends yet. I wasn't going to say anything, but let's be real here. Like, there could be people sitting watching that, I bet she's not woven those ends in, and you would be right. So once I weave in the ends, I can officially give these to my mum. Okay, I'm going to go on and talk about the Born sweater. This is a pattern by Anna Freiberg. I actually need to gift a copy of this pattern to my friend. It was my dear friend Deborah's birthday yesterday. I got to join on their Zoom call and I'm so glad I did. The time difference between Deborah and myself is 6 hours. So nothing huge compared to some other places in the country, in the world. But I think it was like 8 p.m. last night and I could just feel myself getting really tired towards the end and I was just like, I don't want to log off. But I just had such a nice time being part of their birthday celebrations. So I'm going to be gifting a copy of this pattern to Deborah because I know she really wants to make it. While I'm showing this off, you need to bear in mind that currently this sweater is inside out. So all the details is on the reverse side. Because of the way the sleeve is knit with the cables, you then turn it inside out so that you can knit the sleeve in full stockinette instead of having instead of having to purl every stitch. So that is currently where we are at. We are inside out knitting the sleeve. The last time you saw this, however, the body was not completed, so I am happy to announce that I have finally finished the body. I have got it down to a length that I am extremely comfortable and happy with. It comes to around halfway down my bum, and I don't think when I block this it will grow very much because this is a 75% acrylic, 25% wool blend, and so I don't think I will get much growth out of this. But if I do, brilliant, it would just be a wee bit longer. If I don't, absolutely fine. It's at a length that I'm very comfortable with. So that's just something that I wanted to hit on because this is one of the big 400-gram balls of iron weight yarn you can get in quite a few stores. That it doesn't have to be a yarn shop. Like I picked this up in what's called the pound basket, but I didn't pay £1, of course, but I picked this up in what's called the pound basket, which I think is a bit of a chain because there's one in Johnston, there's one in Port Glasgow, and there's one at Largs, which is on the west coast. I don't know if there's any other ones, but you can get these big 400-gram balls of iron yarn for £6, which I think is quite a good price. So I am currently working on a sleeve, and let's try and get where this is. So currently the sleeve is roughly here. It might actually be more about there. So I'm very close to having one sleeve finished, and I just haven't picked this up because I have been resting my arm from what I was saying at the beginning. So once I feel like I can really pick this up, because I'm knitting this on a very tight gauge, which was originally affecting my thumb. Like I was getting a wee bit of RSI, but again, I like to point this out on every time I talk about this. I'm knitting it on a tight gauge because I want to. It's not the gauge the pattern designer recommends. I got gauge with the needle size Anna recommended in the pattern. My cable's all twisted. But I didn't like the fabric that yarn was creating. It was just a little bit too loose for my liking. And so I went down a needle size, and because of that my gauge is tighter. So again, that's just something to remember. That's on me, not the pattern designer. But I'm very, very close to having one sleeve finished, and then once I get that done, I will move on to the second one. I'm not going to put it down again and just let it linger because it's so close to being done that I could get this finished, get all the ends woven in, and put it away in time for winter, which will be round before we know it because we're already in July. So yes, This is the Boring Sweater, and again, just to show off one of the details in case you're like, oh, this doesn't look very much. This is the correct side of the sleeve. So you've got these really gorgeous cables on the shoulders and at the top of the sleeve. So it's, I think this is going to be a really gorgeous like piece where like from a distance you might be like, oh, that's just a nice jumper. But when you get up and you see that detail, you'll be like, oh, that's really nice. So this is the Boring Sweater by Anna Freiberg. I will link the pattern down below, but it will go to Ravelry. So if you can't use Ravelry, you would probably need to contact the designer to see if there's any way you can get a copy of it out with Ravelry. I'm just going to take a quick sip. Okay, next project. I have put on a little bit of progress on my Dustland sweater. So I decided to pick this up about a week or two ago after the doctor put me on a knitting ban. So the doctor put me on a 2-week knitting ban, crafting ban, and after the 2 weeks passed I picked it up again and I put one repeat on. So I was here, like where that finger that's moving is, where my first finger is. And so I've put on a repeat here. And I had forgotten how much I enjoy working on this project. So this is the Dustland by West Knits, or Stephen West. And I love the drape of this yarn. Like, it's just such, like, the fabric is coming out so nice. It's such a gorgeous yarn. I feel it's just going to get softer and softer. So it is just wool, which is a recycled wool. I'm looking over because I don't have the ball band right here. So it's just wool. I want to say it's by Lamia, but that could be wrong. I'm looking at it from a distance without my glasses on. And it is a recycled wool. And it is very gorgeous indeed. There's like little, it's like a heathered grey. So you've got some white and some black in there. I've seen at times just a hint of purple. I can't see it in this one. Maybe I'm just getting my yarns confused. But it's definitely a very heathered grey. And it just feels really nice. It's knitting up really beautiful. Like the stitch definition on this yarn is just so good. So I'm hoping to get this picked up again fairly soon. What's going on with the yarn? So yeah, I'm hoping to get this picked up again fairly soon and work on the body. But I think, if anything, because I'm so close to having the Boring Sweater finished, that should be where my dedication lies just now, because it's so close to being done. Whereas this has obviously got a lot more work to do, but there's just something about the combination of the yarn and the pattern and the stitch definition that I am thoroughly enjoying with this pattern. So hope to get back to that one very soon. Okay, I've got 3 more knitting projects to show off. One is a brand new cast on, so that's something that got started last night. So this one is the Cozy Memories blanket by Kemper Ray, and I have put on a fair amount of progress on this one. So I've got 4, I have 12 new squares on this blanket. So I finished the 3rd row and I've started the 4th row, and so I've got this new pink one, which is definitely a Calic Chic Ellen or Mrs. Lamb's yarns. Who's that one by? Don't know. I only remember like certain yarns, like I know that one's Opal and I got that gifted as part of my mini swap with Aileen. That one is Knit Me Sane, that was part of their mini skein set that I purchased maybe about 2 years ago now. So that one's Knit Me Sane. This one is something that, like, I can picture the packaging, but I can't picture the words on the packaging. Anyway. And then I've got these ones up here as well, so these 4. I finished that one just on Tuesday night there on the International Virtual Knit Nights knitting night, crafting night on Tuesday, so I just got that one finished on Tuesday. I'm making slow but steady progress. I was putting on a square or 2 just to kind of ease me back into crafting. I didn't want anything too heavy to weigh down my arm or my neck for that matter, and so I felt like this blanket was a really great get you back in the groove of knitting, and it's certainly done that. But I'm gonna be a little controversial here. I was bored. I was so bored working on this pattern. And it's not the pattern. The pattern's great. The designer, fantastic. I get more joy out of crocheting a blanket than I do knitting a blanket, it seems. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand where this is coming from. I love the idea of this blanket because I don't have to sew all together at the end. Like, you pick up your stitches, like at the end of it you do obviously have all your ends to weave in, which is fine because I was giving it like a full row and then I was going back. So I got to like the 3rd row and then I knit the 1st one. Because I'm now on the 4th row, I'll go back and knit, like sew in the 2nd row. But I'm bored. I'm so bored working on this pattern because it's just the same thing all the time. And I was watching Deborah of the Diary of a Physicist, dear God, I can never say that. Diary of a Physicist Farm Gal podcast. And I'm so sorry, Deborah, I butcher that every time. And she recently completed, it's like a mandala crochet blanket, and it's gorgeous. And there's so many different stitches, and I really want to do it. I just don't think I have the yarn. All the yarn I have is like scraps, so I would need to do like a more of a scrappy style blanket that may or may not require sewing up. I can't wrap my head around why I think this one is so boring and why I'm not enjoying it as much. Like, I just can't figure it out. I can't pinpoint what it is about. Is it the project? Is it the yarns? Is it the fact that when I look at it, I don't see the progress I'm making? Because it's obviously still so small and so at the beginning stages of a blanket. I don't know. I don't understand where this mood has come from and where I'm not enjoying it as much. Like, if anyone else is in the same boat and feels the same way, please let me know. But it's like my heart's just saying, start a crochet blanket, start a crochet blanket, and I really don't need to. I still have my scrappy granny stripe blanket, and then I've got the ripple blanket that I started that I haven't put work on in at least a year. So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it, but I will continue to make progress on it at some point because there's too much work in it already not to keep going. So, next project is the Ravelry 2-colour brioche shawl I showed off on the last podcast. There is now lifelines in this project, and that is all thanks to Teresa of 33rd Street Knits. She jumped into the comments on the last podcast episode and basically was like, get some lifelines in there. So I have taken that advice on board, and there is now 2 lifelines in this project. So one here and then one down here. This is a project that I need pure concentration on. I am not as comfortable doing brioche as I would like to be. I am certainly learning. I am really good at some of the increases now. I don't think this pattern has all the types of brioche increases, but I am definitely more comfortable with the increases than I was before I started this project. And I just haven't had the silence I've needed for to work on this. I've just not had the silence. So this is the wrong side, and then this is the right side. I don't really think there's a right and wrong side, especially in gorgeous 2-colour brioche. But yeah, I think if I remember correctly, no, I'm not remembering correctly at all, in the patterns on my iPad, which is over there, I think I have to do, so that would be section 1, section 2, section 1, section, I need to do section 2 again, and then I think I repeat that another 3 times before I then make the second half of the shawl. So I have a week off coming up, and I would like to put a lot of work into it. But right now, because it's Tour de Fleece, a lot of my concentration, motivation, inspiration is going towards Tour de Fleece. So this has not been worked on in 6 weeks. This has not seen an ounce of love. Well, no, it has, because I put in the lifelines after the last podcast. Ignore me. It's definitely not seen love in the last 4 weeks. But yeah, I will get back to it. It's not that I've lost my love of this project. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous project. I'm really enjoying having something with brioche. It's just so squishy. It's so gorgeous. It's just that I really do need to concentrate whilst I'm working on a brioche project like this, because there's increases, because there's decreases as well, and because I'm working with a pattern on my iPad as well. I can kind of leave a mark to say where I'm working and what row I'm on, but I try and finish at least one repeat before I put it down. So I'll try to do one section repeat, and then that'll be me. I'll put it down for the night, or I'll pick up a different project after that. I don't like stopping halfway through because I can't read brioche very well. I've discovered that. But yeah, that is the Ravelry, and I will leave a link to that down below, and it will be going to a Ravelry page, so apologies if you cannot access Ravelry. The yarn that I'm using is Wool Sheeps, and it's on the tip of my tongue, Queen of Pearls, and these were the big 600 metre 150 gram skeins of yarn. Okay, camera is about to stop and restart, so we'll just let it do its thing whilst I prepare the next pattern project. Okay, so I started a brand new cast on last night. I put out a poll on my Instagram. I decided, it had been a good couple of weeks ago now, that I really wanted a cardigan. Like I really just wanted a cardigan to throw on and just have something that wasn't gonna completely overheat me, because obviously you can't just unbutton a sweater. Well, jumper. Some people have a different idea of what a sweater is. So I decided I really wanted to knit a cardigan. And my choices were the Otra cardigan or the, what's it called? Hooded shawl cardigan, I think it is. That's the boring. I have too many patterns on my phone. Hoodie Shawl Cardigan by Suzanne Summers. And I want to do both. One has steeking, one has a ton of purling. And so the steeking was winning by a long shot. But I want to do a small steeking project before I do a whole cardigan and mess it up and ruin a whole cardigan. So the purling won. And I spent quite a long time on Friday night? No, Saturday night. I spent quite a bit of time on Saturday night going through my yarn and picking out yarns that had enough meterage. So I am currently on the fence as to what size I'm going to do. And no, I did not do a swatch. I just jumped straight in. And I'm on the fence as to whether to do, right, what are my sizes? So technically I would fit a size 4. I would definitely fit a size 5. And then anything above that is just a lot of positive ease. So a size 4 would have like an inch of positive ease. So that's a 46-inch bust. And then the next size up, which is a size 5, is a 50. And so my thinking and my thought process is, if I have the yardage for a size 5, then even if it comes out too small, it should still fit. That's my thinking. And so I've cast on, and at this stage, the stitch count for the 4 and the 5 are identical. And I have the meterage for the size 5. That was what really occurred to me, was if I go with the size 5, I can wrap it around. If it comes out at the size it's meant to, I can wrap it a little bit in case I get chilly. But I also have the meterage for the 5 in case the 4 is just going to be too small. So, all that to say, I have picked some really gorgeous yarns. So, here is my yarn combination. I wonder if I can put it in my head like my other ones. Oh, you're not going to see them. Okay, so off the bat, I'll go with the ones that are currently attached to the needles. This is Lovebug Yarns, and it is in the Unicorn Mane colorway, and it is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I had this yarn saved for another project, and it is another garment, and there's some colour work involved, and I had everything backed up. I had the pattern with it. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. I had everything all ready to go, but it's not what I wanted. And I don't have many skeins of yarn where the meterage of a sock yarn is 425 meters ball, because for the size 5 in colour A, which is what this is, I need 850 meters. So I needed a yarn that had, like, I needed 2 skeins of yarn that had minimum 425 meters in them. And this was one of the few that I had. So I've taken it out of the project that it was initially intended for, which is fine. I can, not replace, but I can find something else to replace the yarn with instead of replacing this yarn. And so I've paired that up with Fiberpunk Squid Ink, and I'm sticking with the purples because there's a really nice deeper purple in that. The purple in this is more of a pastel, and the purple in this is like a much more darker purple. And so I feel like these team up really, really well. There's obviously quite a lot of black in this and some blue, which is fine because there's blue in this one. But then to pair it up with this gorgeous, wow, I don't know if you're going to see the actual true colour. This is a gorgeous deep aubergine purple, or eggplant, depending where you are in the world. So it's a gorgeous deep, very rich purple. So those are my colours, and I think they go together really well. And at this stage I'm using it as yarn A and yarn B, and then the Fiberpunk is yarn C. So the yarn A and B are looking amazing together. Right, let's take a wee bit more yarn. So this is what I'm working with currently, and I think it looks gorgeous, like absolutely gorgeous. Like these colours were meant to go together. And I'm at the stage where I've started working the shoulder. I think the pattern is a little bit confusing. So it's gonna sit like that, because you do the shawl first and then you start on the actual cardigan and then you do the hood. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the hood, if I'm completely honest. I just wanted a cardigan, but I love a nice hood. I love a hoodie. I'm not going to lie, I've got so many hoodies, it's crazy. And I recently just got one, but it's like a hoodie and not a zippy hoodie. So maybe it would be nice to have a hoodie, like a knitted hoodie. But that is my newest cast on. I started that last night on my Zoom for Deborah's birthday, and it was just really nice to work on. So I've got all the yarn in my project bag here, and apologies, there is no tag in this to say who this was by, but I got it at Perth Festival of Yarn last year. Yeah, definitely no tag that I can see. I remember which stall it was, I just don't remember who owned that stall. So yeah, that is the hoodie shawl cardigan by Suzanne Summers. And with that, we're going to move on and away from knitting. So, pause for change? I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to split out clips because it'll be easier for me to do different segments. So we're going to move on to cross stitch, which is really not going to take very long indeed. I am working on the Star Character Day at the Beach minifigures from GrianaigCreations. So this is what it should look like when I'm done. So you've got Darth Vader there holding an ice cream cone with some of his guard, and they're at the beach. And there's like a little seagull. Okay, so I did put quite a bit of work on this. It doesn't look it, but I did put quite a bit of work on this a week ago. So I tried to record a podcast last weekend and I didn't enjoy it. Like I wasn't in a good headspace. Didn't have that much energy. And so when I stopped trying to record a podcast, I worked on this. And this is where I am. Isn't it cool? I've got to admit, before I started going in and putting the detail in, I was really on the fence because it looked like I was it looked like I was cross-stitching Batman. And I was just like, every time I looked at it, I was like, that's Batman. When it's not, it's clearly Darth Vader once you start putting more detail in and more colours. So currently his cone is missing and his beach hat is missing, and there's just a couple of different greys and white, and I think I need a wee bit of red and green in his chest plate here, and then his belt needs a wee bit more, and his boots or his legs. So there's still a wee bit more to do on him before I can move on to another character, and that's absolutely fine. I really only get about 1 day a week with cross stitching, just because I'm so torn between my projects. So this is not a ton of work, but I am still thoroughly enjoying this project. I think I want to get like the magnifying glasses with the LED light to work on this, because it's a smaller Ada than I have used previously. The last 2 Ada that I've worked on I think was an 18, and I think this is either a 16 or a 14 count Ada. So it's just a wee bit smaller than I'm used to, and I just think I would benefit from having the magnifying glasses with the LED light. Especially where I sit, because there's no, I've got a lamp, but there's no light coming in from behind me. I keep saying that I'm going to sit on the sofa with the window behind it, but that's kind of like Scott's sofa, so I don't want to make him move. Or ask him to move, I wouldn't make him move. So that is my progress on Darth Vader. So like I said, that was going to be very quick. Now onto the spinning. This is going to be a longer segment than the cross stitch, but maybe not as long as the knitting. It is Tour de Fleece, and I decided that in the lead up to Tour de Fleece I really wanted to clear off some bobbins. And I had on the bobbin, I had this as singles, which I have then chain plied. And then the chain ply was sitting on the bobbin for ages. So the singles were sitting for a really long time, and then once I chain plied it, that was sitting for a stupidly long time, and so I decided enough's enough, get it on the niddy noddy and get it into a skein of yarn. I've still to set it, but even before I set it, it's a fairly well spun yarn. Like there's only a little bit of extra twist in at the bottom here, as you can see it's starting to twist up on itself just at the bottom. So it's quite a well balanced yarn, but it could obviously benefit from being soaked to get that little bit of extra twist to set. I don't remember what fibre this was. I don't remember who I got it from. It has been sitting on the bobbins for a stupidly long amount of time, and I just don't remember anything about it. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of merino, there's definitely some sort of silk in there, or cotton maybe, but I think once I've given it a soak and it's dried, I'll redo the measurements to see how much meterage I've got. I'm thinking it could be some sort of hat or cowl. And then next to come off the bobbins was my pack from Spin Jones. I love Spin Jones. You all know how much I've ranted and raved, not ranted, that sounds bad, but you know how much I've raved about their fibre. I love their fibre. And I had like a random pack of like leftover fibre. So I don't know the content, that's totally fine with me. There was definitely some like nips of fibre, there was definitely some Angelina, and I'm thinking it was either going to be a mix of Cordell, BFL or Merino. And there was also some silk involved. And there was, when I was initially spinning up the singles, because it was like little tufts of fibre about that long, I would split them all out and I'd sat them in piles of each individual colour. And then I was divvying them out into separate piles, like one from each colour, and then spinning them as like sections. And Scott took one look at it, he's just like, why did you kill all the My Little Pony? And so that kind of stuck, and I had all intentions of doing a traditional 3-ply yarn, because I had never done a 3-ply. I've done a 2-ply, I've done a chain ply, I've done an Andean bracelet, Andean bracelet. Yeah, that. I've done a plying bracelet, which is when you twist it up and around your finger. I've got an Andean plying tool, which is basically to save your wrist, because if you do it too tight, it'll get too tight around your thumb and too tight around your wrist. I've done a 2-ply, I've done a chain ply. We all know how much I love a good chain ply. And I hadn't done a 3-ply. And so I decided that now was the time that I had a nice yarn that I didn't have any intentions for. I had nice fibre, I had no intentions for it. It's slightly different if you know you want to achieve something with the yarn, and therefore it changes how you're going to prepare it and how you're going to spin it and how you're going to apply it. And so I have done my traditional 3-ply. It still needs soaked and dried, and there is a lot of extra twist in this. So let's see if I can show you. So this is the yarn, like I'm holding it, I'm stretching it. You ready? There is a lot of extra twist in this, and it's causing the yarn to like kink up in places because there's just so much energy in this yarn. So it definitely needs a good soak, and I think I'm just going to do it like after this recording. I'm just going to go do it because I've just been putting it off for some reason. But the yarn is come out so well. It's not something I would knit with, to be perfectly honest, but it was just a really good experiment. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed trying this, like this 3-ply, and having it as the My Little Pony Massacre. That is what this yarn has become called, is the My Little Pony Massacre. And then, because I did not prepare my fibre properly, I didn't weigh it, I didn't divide it properly, I just kind of eyeballed it and then had some leftovers. So I decided to do a 2-ply because one bobbin ran out before the other two. So this is a 2-ply of the My Little Pony Massacre, which doesn't have as much extra twist in it, but there's still definitely a little bit too much energy in this yarn. And then when another of the bobbins ran out, I done a chain ply with what was left of the third bobbin. And I just think it's so different, like it's so interesting looking at the difference in these yarns. And I'm going to see if I can try and show you. So if you look for the blue in like all this fibre, it's not that dark because obviously the chance of it being plied next to another blue is reduced because this is the 3-ply. And then when you find the blue, let's see, I'm trying to find the blue. When you find the blue in the 2-ply, it's also just not as dark. I think it's mostly showing purple. Where's the blue? If you can hear Scott in the background, he's working today. It's a Sunday and the poor thing's got to work. I'm not really seeing much of the dark blue on this one, to be fair. But you've got dark purple. You can see the purple coming up. If you put that next to, it's not that dark. So this is the 3-ply and this is the 2-ply. And then when you've got the chain ply, because it's plied in on itself, you've got more of the colours together at different points. And I just think it's really interesting seeing the comparison between the two. So you've got your 3-ply, your 2-ply, and your chain ply, which is a 3-ply, but you're more likely to have like lengths of the same colours together. And I just find that really interesting. But that's just me. So that was 3 bobbins cleared off, and then when I had the yarn and put them onto the niddy noddy, that was a 4th bobbin then cleared off. So that's all the bobbins for my Ashford Joy clear. And then I've got this. This is my combo spin that I started on my Ashford e-spinner. And these were bats that I had carded up some time ago. Like, we're talking 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe even longer. And these bats have been sitting in little Ziploc bags in a bigger bag, just waiting for something to be done with them. So I paired up quite a few of the bats, like colour wise I paired them up, and then I prepped the fibre into bundles. So I'd rip the bats up into strips, and I would keep the strips, like keep the bats in each colour, and then I would pick one from each one, and then I would fold that in on itself and put it away. That would be one bundle. And then I would do that again until all the bats had been divided up. And then I divided those bundles into 2, so that I could have 2 bobbins worth of fibre. So the plan is to do a 2-ply, and I think I'm going to get a good amount of yardage on this. I've weighed these bobbins, so the bobbin itself weighs about 130 grams, so without yarn on it, about 130 grams. This bobbin has 304 grams in total, and this one is about 270 in total. So again, I've not divided the fibre very well, but that's fine. So because it's Tour de Fleece, my plan is, and I have checked with my team that I'm spinning with, I'm going to ply this as part of Tour de France, Tour de Fleece. And it's going to be a long project and a long process to ply this, because there's a lot of yarn now on these bobbins, and that's fine. I'm going to be really happy with the yardage, I think. So yeah, I have the little bag with the cards to see what fibre's in this, but there's pretty much every fibre possible. There is Corriedale, there's Merino, there is Sari Silk, there is gosh, my mind is blanking. I went through it the other day. There's corn fibre, there's Stellina, there is, did I say BFL? Oh, I don't remember. But another video I will tell you what the content of this fibre was. But by the time you next see it, it will hopefully be a 2-ply yarn. And then I picked up my Nano e-spinner. And isn't it so cute? I bought this years ago and then I didn't use it. And so I decided enough was enough. I was going to get it out. And it's purely down to the fact that my Ashford e-spinner, it's not heavy, like it's not too heavy that I can't carry it up and down the stairs. It's just an annoyance for when I have bad like mobility in my wrists and bad strength. And then when I do have it down and just sitting for ages, it's a little bit of an eyesore in the living room. So because of that, I decided I was going to leave the e-spinner upstairs and use my Nano. And I'm really, really glad I did. Albeit, all of my wheels are currently in this room because it's Tour de Fleece. So I've been spinning up on my electric eel wheel Nano, and this is fibre that I got from the Hobbycraft event that's in the SECC in Glasgow. I don't know the content of the yarn, that's absolutely fine. Oh no, my things are joined. Ugh. Come on, separate. I don't know the content of the yarn, that's absolutely fine with me. The stall was actually being advertised more for felters, like whether that's wet felting, needle felting, that kind of thing. And when I bought so much of this fibre, like I think I got in total about 300 grams of this fibre, or these bats. They were like, oh my god, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I actually spin, so I'm going to spin it into yarn. And they're like, wow! Like, this had never occurred to them, that there was people that spun yarn. So that's what I'm working on this project just now, but I am not using this towards Tour de Fleece. I could start another bobbin and count that as Tour de Fleece, but I have other Tour de Fleece plans. So this is just what I have done in the last couple of weeks. And I just have really enjoyed working on this. The only thing is, the motor gets really warm, and so I can't spin on it for as long as I would use like my e-spinner or my Ashford Joy. So the motor does get quite warm, but it's just a tiny little thing and it's going to overheat a wee bit. So I just take it easy. Okay, last bit of spinning and last bit of what I've been working on is my current Tour de Fleece project, which is this beauty. So I have a braid of fibre from Wish You Were Here, who were at Perth Festival of Yarn. Oh, when was it? When was Perth? Not the September one. The Scottish Wool Producer Showcase, April. They were at the April showcase and I picked up 2 braids of their fibre. But this is generally what it looked like. If you watch my first Tour de Fleece video, you'll see what it actually looked like before I started ripping into it and prepping it out. This is half the braid of fibre, so this is roughly 50 grams. Again, I completely eyeballed it, so it's probably way off. And this is going to be spun end to end with no, like, I'm not going to break it down any further, I'm not going to rip out sections of it. It's just going to be spun end to end as is. And then this is the other half of the braid that did get ripped out more, and it got stripped down into 3 rows of fibre. Again, once I get my next Tour de Fleece video out, you'll see more of my preparation work for this spin. So this is bobbin 1 done, complete. Now I need to move on to the other half and start bobbin 2. But this is my current Tour de Fleece project and I have been loving it. So I will just keep this probably in its braid form, and then I will pre-draft some of the fibre just a wee bit to make it easier to work with. So you just kind of tease it out just a little bit, and then it can, some people find that a wee bit easier to work with when they're spinning. So that will be what I work on next. I do have this fibre out for when I do finish this project and my 2-ply of my combo spin, but I'm not sure how much I will get done. I'm still taking it very easy with my recovery. So that is all my projects for the last 6 weeks. Some of them haven't seen a lot of love, especially in the last 4 weeks. And some of them have received a lot of love in the last 2 days. It really just depends what the craft is. Like the hoodie shawl cardigan that I started last night, and I was really curious to see how it would affect my arm, because when I worked on the blanket I would try to do like a square, and then sometimes even just after one square I would wake up the next day and I would have a very prominent feeling in my arm, to basically my body basically saying stop, just we're not ready yet. And so it's been a long 6 weeks of not crafting. I took up a lot of reading. I got 4 books read in a week, which was really good for me. I was signed off work for 2 weeks because of how much pain I was in. And I reckon had I not had those 2 weeks off work, I would not be as close to pain free as I am now, because I work on a computer for 7 hours a day, 35 hours a week, constantly typing. Like, that's all I do. My job is pretty much constant typing. And so if I hadn't had that time to rest my body, pretty sure I would be at the stage where I still wouldn't be able to knit. So I'm very lucky in that sense that I was able to take that time off of work to heal. But I am still healing. It is going to be an ongoing process. I'm going to probably end up taking like 5 steps forward and then probably like 3 back. And that's just going to be the process for a wee while to come. I'm just hoping that this doesn't happen again. Like, he couldn't guarantee that this will never happen again, and he can't guarantee that it will happen again. Like, that's the odd thing. So I just have to take it easy and just be aware of like my movements and what I'm doing, which is going to be interesting, because sometimes we're not in the present, we're not kind of paying attention to our body, we don't listen to our body as well. I finally listened to my body probably because of the pain that I was in, and I'm booked in to go see a masseuse and have my back, neck and shoulders done. I used to go to a masseuse like at least once a month, and it was amazing. And then I moved to Paisley. My regular masseuse has closed down, unfortunately, for her health, and I just haven't found somebody more local. But I saw a deal and I saw the reviews, and she seems like a lot of people quite like her. So I'm going to go give that a try. That's on the 12th, so not this week but next week coming. And yeah, I'm just listening to my body, seeing how things go, taking it easy. I'm doing a lot of resting, no heavy lifting, that kind of thing. Thoroughly enjoying Tour de Fleece at the moment. I'm going to get this edited and put up on YouTube, but during the editing process, because it can be a lot of just sitting waiting for things to do its thing, I'm going to start my 2-ply on my Ashford e-spinner. I've got my blank bobbin, well, my bare bobbin, already rearing to go to get that 2-ply started. But yeah, I'm just really happy that I can get back to doing some sort of crafting, but not as intense as I was. I'm learning to take a step back, take it a wee bit slower, maybe enjoy the process more rather than trying to get to the end product. But yeah, anything else that's been going on? Probably not anything really of substance. I am still trying really hard to save money. It's so difficult in this day and age, with the price of everything going up, and I am an emotional, like, not only am I an emotional eater, I am an emotional spender. Like, I buy things when I feel like crap, and unfortunately that gets me into trouble when it comes to trying to save money. Also, my car broke last month, so I had to get a brand new car battery, which was not on my expense list. and then I had to get it MOT'd because it turns out my car MOT had ran out as well. And it was Scott's birthday, and I got him a new sports jersey, which sports jerseys are not cheap, but I knew he would really appreciate it, so I didn't mind spending the money. So this month I should be a wee bit better at saving, and I hope to be able to put money towards the wedding savings and saving some money for Perth Festival of Yarn, which is coming up in September. Tickets went live for that last night, so that was the 2nd of July. Today is the 3rd. I got a ticket for Scott and I to go on the Saturday only. Scott comes along to the events because he knows so many of my knitting friends, and as kind of like an emotional support, because my anxiety going to any of these sort of events, also he is the chauffeur. He comes to kind of be my emotional support because my anxiety can get so bad around those kind of events. Not because of the event itself, just because of the number of people. So I always buy Scott a ticket. I just feel like that's the right thing to do. But he also does the driving, which means I can normally sit and knit in the car, which helps calm me down beforehand. But this year, Perth Festival Yarn is back at the Jewellery Centre, which means it's going to be nice, big and airy, bright as well. And I like the Jewellery Centre. It's normally where it was held, apart from obviously COVID. So I'm really looking forward to it. Lammermuir Wool is going to be there. Lammermuir Yarn, sorry. And, oh, what was the other one I really, really wanted to go back to? There's a couple of vendors that I'm so excited to see. I'll just do a different video for Perth. Let's do that. Let's be that cheesy person that does a completely different video and goes through some of the vendors. But just talking of Perth and yarn and stuff, I wanted to show off an acquisition I got this month, well, last month. I treated myself to the new yarns that Marcus of Fiberpunk brought out. I don't want to take the tags out the centre because Marcus was an absolute dear and caked these up for me because he knew I was having such issues with my arm that turned out to be my neck. And he was an absolute dear and he caked these up for me, and I'm so thankful because I actually really don't enjoy caking up yarn. So let me just check my Etsy order and we can talk about what yarns these were. But these were his yarns for Pride, which if you don't like Pride or anything like that and you don't support LGBTQ, you can fuck off. Basically, in my opinion. Okay, so here we are. No, don't do that. Okay, so this one with the black in it is Goth Pride. I love this. Let's see, can you... So this is Goth Pride. Isn't that cool? There's a self-striping. And I got it in merino nylon 4-ply sock yarn. I think you can get it, you could get it on a sparkle base. I think that was the other option. And then this one here is Progress Pride, which again is another self-striping, and this is what it stripes up as. Oh, let's put the brightness up on my screen. There you go. And I got these yarns in a heartbeat, which was another reason why I didn't save as much money last month. But I couldn't not buy these yarns. I love supporting Marcus. I love Marcus's yarns, and I also really want to support all the LGBTQ makers and just everything about that. On that note, I think I got about 2 minutes left. So the downer part of this is basically that even though I'm not in America, and the rule or the change in law doesn't really technically affect me. I am heartbroken at the Senate's. See, this is where I don't get the wording correct. I'm heartbroken at the overturn of Roe v. Wade. I am very much pro-choice. Women should have the right to an abortion. We should have the right to make our own decisions on our bodies instead of some old white man sitting in a chair. I am not good with words. I don't eloquently speak what my thoughts are saying to me and all of that jazz. So I'm going to try and say the next bit as clearly as I can. I am pro-choice. Love is love. Doesn't matter where you come from in the world, what you look like, what your religion is, what you believe. Well, no, some things of what you believe I have a problem with. Roe v. Wade being overturned. Heartbreaking. And it's just the start. And it's going to have ripples across the entire globe. I am pro-choice. Always have been. I have never had an abortion. I don't know if I will ever need one in my life, but if I need one, then I will go for one. I think people should have a choice with what happens with their body. I think it's absolutely disgusting that some states have put a complete ban on them because it could end up killing the mother and the baby. It's not going to be a case of the mother or the baby, it's probably going to also end up being a case of both. And that's disgusting. And also, if you are assaulted and then have to carry your assaulter's baby, I have a big problem with that. So yeah, I will probably never step foot in a state that has just put a total ban on abortion because I just don't believe in it. I don't agree with it. I think it's disgusting. And it is just the start of things to come. Like, one of the senators has already tried to go after same-sex marriage, LGBTQ rights, I think was the next one, and contraceptives. So it's unfortunately going to be a wait and see what happens next, but we do have ways that we can fight this, hopefully. I know people are going to say, oh, but you're not in America, this doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, it does. It fucking matters. So stand up for your rights, fight. Like, I don't know how you do it in America. I'm sure it's like emailing and phoning and writing into your, well, we call them MPs. What do you call them in America? Political people. That's what I'm going to call them because I don't know what it is. But yeah, I'm just going to make my stance abundantly clear. I am for abortion. I think they are life-saving tools. I think they are also just there to help women that just aren't ready for a baby. And if you are so pro-life, then fucking get a vasectomy. Do it. Because it shouldn't be up to the women to take the full burden. I am also, love is love. I don't care if someone is gay. I don't care if they're bi. I don't care if they're asexual, pansexual. In my case, non-binary. I don't care. You're welcome in my world. You are safe in my world. I will accept you with open arms. What I care about is if you're a homophobe, if you're a racist, if you're a xenophobe, if you are completely against a person because of how they look, what they, I was going to say preach, I don't think that's the right word, what they believe. That's where I have a problem. So if you are a racist, if you are a homophobe, if you are pro-life to the point where you support a total ban without any regard to the health of the baby or the health of the mother, bye-bye. You are not wanted here. You don't need to publicly tell us that you're leaving. You don't need to leave a comment. You can just leave. So yeah, my heart breaks for America, but if there's any way that I can help and support, I will. So, ending on a very heavy note, apologies for that. But I'm going to go record. I'm losing the light. I can see a big massive grey cloud coming in. I wonder if we're going to get rain. We still seriously need a thunderstorm to clear the air. It is so muggy outside. It's just sticky. It's not nice. I'm going to edit this now and hopefully try and get it on YouTube tonight. If not, it'll go up tomorrow morning. I am very much looking forward to my week off of work in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, I'm going to start my 2-ply. I'm going to get this started and see how much I can get done today. Probably not too much. I don't want to rush it and end up messing up. So it's going to be a long process, but I'm going to try and enjoy it. It's kind of boring doing a 2-ply. It's just kind of boring doing any ply, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to stick on something to watch, whether that's a podcast or something. I'm going to tidy up because I've got a lot of stuff now out. I'm going to enjoy a wee snack. I discovered these in Asda, Brookie Bites. So it is a chocolatey brownie base topped with a layer of soft cookie and sprinkled with chocolate chips. And they are delicious, absolutely delicious. So I'm going to sit down, well, tidy up, and then sit down, start editing, have a wee snack, and get started on this 2-ply spin and see how I get on. And I will hopefully record in another 2 weeks, but until then there will be either one big Tour de Fleece video or segments of Tour de Fleece. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do it, but I will figure that out at some point. So until then, thank you so much for watching and bearing with me these last 6 weeks, and I hope to be back on your screens with another podcast in 2 weeks if I have stuff to show, because it is Tour de Fleece. I'm not probably going to get a ton of knitting done in the next 20 days? I don't remember when Tour de Fleece finishes. I should probably look into that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay safe. Bye!